Let me say this clearly. We have reason to believe the House managers manipulated evidence and selectively edited footage. If they did, and this were a court of law, they would face sanctions from the judge. I don't raise this issue lightly. Rather, it is a product of what we have found in just the limited time we have had since we first saw the evidence here with you this week. We have reason to believe that the House managers created false representations of tweets, and the lack of due process means there was no opportunity to review or verify the accuracy. Consider these facts. The House managers, proud of their work on this snap impeachment, staged numerous photo shoots of their preparations. In one of those, Manager Raskin is seen here at his desk reviewing two tweets side by side. The image on his screen claims to show that President Trump had retweeted one of those tweets. Now, members of the Senate, let's look closely at this screen, because obviously Manager Raskin considered it important enough that he invited the New York Times to watch him watching it. Now, what's wrong with this image? Actually, there are three things very wrong with it. Look at the date on the very bottom of the screen on Manager Raskin's computer screen when we zoom into the picture. The date that appears is January 3rd, 2020, not 2021. Why is that date wrong? Because this is not a real screenshot that he's working with. This is a recreation of a tweet, and you got the date wrong when you manufactured this graphic. You did not disclose that this is a manufactured graphic and not a real screenshot of a tweet. Now, to be fair, the House managers caught this error before showing the image on the Senate floor, so you never saw it when it was presented to you. But that's not all. They didn't fix this one. Look at the blue check mark next to the Twitter username of the account retweeted by the president. It indicates that this is a verified account, given the blue check by Twitter to indicate it is run by a public figure. The problem? The user's real account is not verified and has no blue check mark, as you can see. Were you trying to make her account seem more significant, or were you just sloppy? If we had due process of law in this case, we would know the truth. But that's not all that's wrong with this one tweet. House Manager Swalwell showed you this tweet this week, and he emphasized that this tweet reflected a call to arms. He told you repeatedly that this was a promise to call in the cavalry for January 6th. He expressly led you to believe that President Trump's supporter believed that the president wanted armed supporters at the January 6th speech, paramilitary groups, the cavalry, ready for physical combat. The problem is, the actual text is exactly the opposite. The tweeter promised to bring the Calvary, a public display of Christ's crucifixion, a central symbol of her Christian faith, with her to the president's speech, a symbol of faith, love, and peace. They just never want to seem to read the text and believe what the text means. You'll see this reported in the media last evening also. Words matter, they told you, but they selectively edited the president's words over and over again. They manipulated video, time-shifting clips, and made it appear the president's words were playing to a crowd when they weren't. Let's take a look.
After this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down to the Capitol. But I think right here, we're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women, and we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them, because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong. We have come to demand that Congress do the right thing and only count the electors who have been lawfully slated. I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
And we are going to walk down to the Capitol. They showed you that part. Why are we walking to the Capitol? Well, they cut that off. To cheer on some members of Congress and not others, peacefully and patriotically. The Supreme Court ruled in Brandenburg that there's a very clear standard for incitement. In short, to paraphrase, whether the speech was intended to provoke imminent lawless action, and was it likely to do so. Go to the Capitol and cheer on some members of Congress, but not others. They know it doesn't meet the standard for incitement, so they edited it down. We heard a lot this week about fight like hell, but they cut off the video before they showed you the president's optimistic, patriotic words that followed immediately after.
We fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. Our exciting adventures and boldest endeavors have not yet begun. My fellow Americans, for our movement, for our children, and for our beloved country, and I say this despite all that's happened, the best is yet to come.
There's that famous quote, like one of the House managers said, "A lie will travel halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to put its shoes on." Well, this lie traveled around the world a few times, made its way into the Biden campaign talking points, and ended up on the Senate floor. The Charlottesville lie. Very fine people on both sides, except that isn't all he said. And they knew it then, and they know it now. Watch this.
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. No, George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? Are we going to take down, are we going to take down statues to George Washington? How about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think of Thomas Jefferson? You like him? Okay, good. Are we going to take down the statue? Because he was a major slave owner. Now, we're going to take down his statue. So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black outfits and with the helmets and with the baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other group too.
Treated unfairly, sir. I'm sorry, I just didn't understand what you were saying. You were saying the press has treated white nationalists unfairly?
No,
I just didn't understand what you were saying.
No. There were people in that rally, and I looked the night before. If you look, there were people protesting very quietly the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. I'm sure in that group there were some bad ones. The following day it looked like they had some rough, bad people, neo-Nazis, white nationalists, whatever you want to call them. But you had a lot of people in that group that were there to innocently protest and very legally protest because, you know, I don't know if you know, they had a permit. The other group didn't have a permit. So I only tell you this, there are two sides to a story. I thought what took place was a horrible moment for our country, a horrible moment. But there are two sides to the country. Does anybody have a final? Does anybody have, you have an infrastructure.
What makes you think?
This might be today the first time the news networks played those full remarks in their context. And how many times have you heard that President Trump has never denounced white supremacists? Now you in America know the truth. Here's another example. One of the House managers made much of the president's supposedly ominous words of, "You have to get your people to fight." But you knew what the president really meant. He meant that the crowd should demand action from members of Congress and support primary challenges to those who don't do what he considered to be right. Support primary challenges. not violent action. I know what he meant because I watched the full video, and so did the House managers, but they manipulated his words. You will see where they stopped it, and to give it a very different meaning from the meaning it has in full context. Let's watch.
You have to get your people to fight. He told them.
You have to get your people to fight. And if they don't fight, we have to primary the hell out of the ones that don't fight. You primary them, we're gonna let you know who they are. I can already tell you, frankly.
The people who need to fight are members of Congress. Why did we have to skip the necessary due diligence and due process of law and that any legal proceeding should have? It couldn't have been the urgency to get President Trump out of office. House Democrats held the articles until he was no longer president, mooting their case. Hatred, animosity, division, political gain, and let's face it, for House Democrats, President Trump is the best enemy to attack.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
You got to be ready to throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
Feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
No, I wish we were in high school. I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
Okay.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
And you push back on them, and you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
People will do what they do.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
We're going to go in there, we're going to impeach the
This is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be?
Does one of us have to come out alive?
This is Malcolm X from the 1960s. Listen to how correct he was. Not only then, but now as we are in 2024.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. They see that the whites are so evenly divided that every time they vote, the race is so close, they have to go back and count the votes all over again. And which means that any block, any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who put the present Democratic administration in Washington, D.C. The whites were evenly divided. It was the fact that you threw 80% of your votes behind the Democrats that put the Democrats in the White House. When you see this, you can see that the Negro vote is the key factor. And despite the fact that you are in a position to be the determining factor, what do you get out of it? The Democrats have been in Washington, D.C. only because of the Negro vote. They've been down there 4 years. And all other legislation they wanted to bring up, they brought it up and gotten it out of the way, and now they bring up you. And now they bring up you. You put them first, and they put you last. Because you're a chump. A political chump. In Washington, D.C., in the House of Representatives, there are 257 who are Democrats. Only 177 are Republican. In the Senate, there are 67 Democrats. Only 33 are Republicans. The party that you backed controls 2/3 of the House of Representatives and the Senate, and still they can't keep their promise to you, because you're a chump. Anytime you throw your weight behind a political party that controls 2/3 of the government, and that party can't keep the promise that it made to you during election time, and you're dumb enough to walk around continuing to identify yourself with that party, you're not only a chump, but you're a traitor to your race.
And there's more.
In this crooked game of power politics here in America, the Negro, namely the race problem, integration, civil rights issue, are all nothing but tools used by the whites who call themselves liberals against another group of whites who call themselves conservatives, either to get into power or to retain power. Among whites here in America, the political teams are no longer divided into Democrats and Republicans. The whites who are now struggling for control of the American political throne are divided into liberal and conservative camps. The white liberals from both parties cross party lines to work together toward the same goal, and white conservatives from both parties do likewise. The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in one way. The liberal is more deceitful, more hypocritical than the conservative. Both want power, but the white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. And by winning the friendship and support of the Negro, the white liberal is able to use the Negro as a pawn or a weapon in this political football game that is constantly raging between the white liberals and the white conservatives. The American Negro is nothing but a political football, and the white liberals control this ball through tricks or tokenism, false promises of integration and civil rights. In this game of deceiving and using the American Negro, the white liberals have complete cooperation of the Negro civil rights leader, who sell our people out for a few crumbs of token recognition, token gains, token progress.
So as we've seen the broken promises of the liberals throughout the years, we can go back to February 28th, 2017, when Donald Trump was president, as he is seen here signing an executive order benefiting historically African American colleges.
So this is historically black colleges and universities executive order, very important to all of us. This group has been fantastic, many of which we were with yesterday, and really developed something very special. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Mr. Vice President, also, Mike, for being here. This is a very important moment, and a moment that means a great deal to me. This month has been a wonderful opportunity to celebrate African American history and to begin working together to create a better future for African Americans and universities and colleges and everything that is African American. Today we're taking action to help make that future happen and that future better. Historically, black colleges and universities are incredibly important institutions woven into the fabric of our history, just about like no other. Church is very important, right? Yes. Colleges and universities. Come here. My defender. He's on Education has the power to uplift. It has the power to transform, and perhaps most important, education has the power to create greater equality and justice in our lives. That's why today I'm thrilled to be signing an executive order to recognize the importance of historically black college and universities. Very important. They have played such an important role in achieving progress for African Americans and in our nation's march for justice. HBCUs have been really pillars of the African American community for more than 150 years. Amazing job. And a grand and enduring symbol of America at its absolute best, and I congratulate you all to say that.
Thank you.
With this executive order, we will make HBCUs a priority in the White House, an absolute priority.
All right.
A lot of people are going to be angry that they're not a priority, but that's okay. And we will pledge our support to you, your mission, and our shared mission of bringing education and opportunity to all of our people. And so I just want to congratulate, these are very, very special people surrounding me. You've done an amazing job. It's not easy. Nothing's easy. But you've done an amazing job, and I just want to congratulate you all, and I want to thank you on behalf of our country. And I'm going to sign this.
Thank you. Thank you.
And this is really fantastic. Who's going to get that? Well, thank you very much, everybody. Alice Johnson has been just incredible. She's gotten out. She's recommended people to us. She knows many, many people that have been put in prison, and whether they should have been or not, she knows that they were put in for too long. Alice was given a life sentence, and you spent about 22 years, and for something that today a lot of people wouldn't even be going to jail for. And it was horrible, and we found out about it, and we gave a commutation. That means we were able to get Alice out, and she has been just so outstanding, and I'm so proud of you. And we're giving Alice a full pardon. I just told her. We didn't even discuss it. We just, you were out there, I saw you in the audience last night. And I asked the folks if you could bring Alice over. We're going to give a full pardon. We're going to do it right now. That means you have been fully pardoned. That's the ultimate thing that can happen. That means you can do whatever you want in life and just keep doing the great job you're doing. Alice has done an incredible job since she's been out, and recommending other people. We said, how many people are they like you? There's only one Alice as far as I'm concerned, but how many people are like you or your circumstance where they were given this massive sentence, and they're good people, great people? And she said, so many. They're in jail, so many. And she's looking for those people, and she's recommending those people, and we've already done some that you know are good people, and they've done really well since they've been out. So we're taking Alice from a commutation to a full pardon, and I'm going to sign it right now, and we're very proud of Alice and the job you've done and what you represent. And Pastor Robert Jeffress, unrelated, but he was here, and we thought maybe I'll sign this, and then maybe you'd like to say a prayer.
I'd love to.
And maybe you could include the media, because they need it probably more than we do. They definitely need it more than Alice. That I can tell you. Okay, thank you. So Alice, it's a full pardon. It's been signed. You might want to keep that one. And here it is. Pastor, please. You take that, darling. Let's pray together.
The son of former slaves fought his way to become the first black heavyweight boxing champion of the world. The Texan ruled the ring for 7 years and was an icon for racially oppressed African Americans. But Johnson's relationships with a number of white women led him to being charged under the Mann Act, the law used to prosecute men for mixed relationships, even if consensual. In 1913, he was charged with taking his white girlfriend across state lines for immoral purposes.
So we thank you so much. Yes, sir.
Surrounded by boxing stars who pushed for his pardon in the Oval Office, Donald Trump finally cleared his name.
Well, on behalf of the White House, on behalf of the presidency, on behalf of this country, our country is a great country, and we have done something today that was very important because we righted a wrong. It was a wrong, and a lot of people knew it. I knew it. Without being an expert on the subject, I knew it for a long time. Jack Johnson was not treated fairly, and we have corrected that.
With his career in ruins, Johnson skipped bail and fled to Europe. He spent years fighting in exile before surrendering to US police in 1920 and spending 10 months in prison.
My family now can go forward knowing that the shame and the pain has been erased and history will be rewritten. And I sincerely thank you, sir.
Thank you, Linda.
And you and everybody that brought me here. I am the spokesperson for my family.
While I am president, America will always honor its heroes, and we will always celebrate the patriots who secured women's right to vote. So this is an incredible document that I'm signing, and I wanted to just add something because this was brought up a week ago, and I was so surprised that it was never done before, because later today I will be signing a full and complete pardon for Susan B. Anthony. She was never pardoned. Did you know that? She was never pardoned. What took so long? And you know that she got a pardon for a lot of other women, and she didn't put her name on the list. So she was never pardoned. And we're for voting. That's right. Make it look nice. Okay. Let's do this, right?
Yes.
Now, if you're at this point in the video, it's good to know that the United States of America has a population of, counting the illegal immigrants, 350 million people, and only a few million people have witnessed and seen the truths that you just saw. So now, since you're still with me, we're going to dive into deeper truths in regards to how deep and how far back the fake news goes that got us into World War I, as we now are fighting proxy wars where the military-industrial complex is making huge profits off of people dying. As the Federal Reserve prints money, money goes to Ukraine and Israel, which buy munitions from the United States of America. And we're going to go back to when legacy media, fake news, first began. As we see, we got into World War I on April 4th, 1917. And this is where it all began, the fake news. As we see on February 9th, 1917, Oscar Callaway puts in a congressional statement, we're going to read the whole statement, how J.P. Morgan Interest and their subsidiary organizations got together 12 men high up in the newspaper world to control generally the policy of the daily press in the United States. Let's look at that full congressional record. So if you'd like to do a deeper dive into this, I'm going to put the full link to the congressional record down below, and this website, which is from libertytree.org. Also, aimfortruth.org will be down in the description too. That gives you the full rundown of how the mainstream media was taken over. Because first they took over the newspapers, then radio came along, the same individuals took over the newspapers, the same individuals took over television when it came in, as it was a legacy handed down to the siblings and people they recruited in to this coalition of people to control the media, and that continued through time as we went into cable TV and then into internet. And now here we are where anybody can make a video, put up the truth, as I am doing here with you now. So let's read the fullness of what Oscar Callaway put into the congressional record of February 9th, 1917, page 2947, as entered by Representative Oscar Callaway of Texas. Oscar Callaway quote, "In March 1915, the J.P. Morgan interest, the steel, shipbuilding, and power interest, and their subsidiary organizations got together 12 high up in the newspaper world and employed them to select the most influential newspapers in the United States and sufficient number of them to control generally the policies of the daily press. They found it was only necessary to purchase the control of 25 of the greatest papers. An agreement was reached. The policy of the papers was bought to be paid for by the month. An editor was furnished for each paper to properly supervise and edit information regarding the questions of preparedness, militarism, financial policies, and other things of natural and international national nature considered vital to the interest of the purchasers. The interest was profit, for they dealt in financing, steel, and shipbuilding. And it was all to send false flags to get us in to the war, as they had 2 years from March 1915 till we entered the war in 1917. You need to understand, my friends, we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but we wrestle with spiritual wickedness in high places. As through this last 100 years, they have been able to install people in high positions of power in government, in military, in industrial, in finance, manufacturing, and the list goes on and on and on. This is a short little video I put up in 2007 before the internet or YouTube was censored, and I was kind of naive back then in regards to actually being censored, because I thought we lived in a country of free speech. You could say whatever you wanted. But when I started talking about the mask didn't work, when I started talking about the World Military Games back in Wuhan, China on October 19th, 2019, and the fact that they housed all the people by a chicken farm, and that the games took place 20 minutes away from the Wuhan lab of virology. I mean, and just all of a sudden my video started getting strikes, and they finally deleted a channel where I had a whole bunch of subscribers. But this is what I said back in 2007 in regards to the internet and how it would play a great role in the elections moving forward into the future. And I'm going to end it with what I say here. Seek the truth daily. The truth will find you seeking. Showing you where, what, when, how, and why the media became so biased, became so censorific, if that's a new word. So listen to what I had to say here back in 2007.
There are many mysteries of this world and of the universe that are going to start unfolding rather quickly after the year 2007 has expired. And people seem to be waking up slowly. That there'll be many babes in Christ like myself who will be coming forward, who will gain in knowledge and wisdom. There'll be many efforts to shut us down, to silence us, to quiet us. But it is an impossibility due to the fact of the computer age and where we are now. Everything happens for a reason, according to the good measure of its own time. We are in a time now like none other, where anybody who has access to a computer or a webcam can say what they want, what they feel, what needs to be said. And this will continue and move forward and increase. A year ago, YouTube used to only get 500,000 visitors a day. Now they're getting about 6 million visitors a day. This is just in a year's time. We're going to come into an arena of election here in the United States of America in the year 2008. It's already started, 2007, and the campaigning is going to be different. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be ridiculous in regards to the video media on the internet. More people are straying away from TV, and more are watching videos on the internet than they watch TV. I probably watch a total of about maybe 10 hours of television a month. I'm more on the internet. More people in regards to the internet are like myself. They prefer to spend time online, doing research, looking at what other people are saying and doing. And this revolution and evolution of the video era is going to continue to grow and expand. And more people will be coming forward with truths. And falsehoods will not be able to be hidden as they have in the past. People will no longer be able to be deceived as they have in the past by way of mainstream media, because we'll have more individuals coming forward with the truth, and they won't be controlled by local and united government. Well, this is John Rion. I appreciate you watching my videos, and I'll catch you with the next video I make. Till then, God bless you, and peace to you. Have a good night.